Hello and welcome to another JNP video. I am your host Leonardo, and today I'll make a video on a very frequently asked question. Since I know some tips that not a lot of people know, I decided to make this as a new series, Trove Tips and Tricks. In today's video, I'll talk about movement speed stacking and why is it so good for everything, especially farming materials or dungeons. What is movement speed stacking? Movement speed stacking is stacking a lot of movement speed buff onto your character, making it run incredibly fast. This is a trick that a lot of endgame players use for dungeon farming. I'll talk about the base movement speed of all characters at level 30 and the important buff that you need to use, and the class ability that grant movement speed. Before all that, there are some things that I won't mention in detail, and those are: first, anything to do with mounts, so that includes the Dino Tamer ult and Knight subclass. Second, passive ability that grant movement speed, since passive ability that grant movement speed are either too specific or not too common. 3. Ultimate abilities, since you won't be using those for movement speed purposes. And 4. Subclasses that grant movement speed, since they are not so common and not all characters can use the subclass. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's start with the gear on movement speed. Movement speed on gear is second and fourth stat. You can only have one movement speed stat on any piece of gear. It can be gotten on hats, faces, and weapons. No rings, gems, or dragon can get you more movement speed. I'll be talking about stellar gear in specific, since this is, as of the time I'm making this, the highest piece of gear available. Stellar gear start at 12 base movement speed. The only way to increase it is by adding Pearl. Increasing its starts won't make any difference. At 1 pearl, it will get bumped up to 13 from 12, and at 2 pearls, it will get bumped up to 16 from 13. Since you can get a maximum of 3 movement speed stat on gear, you will have a total of 36 to 48 total movement speed. Here, I'll talk about the max movement speed you can get just for future references. Most characters level 30 maintain the same movement speed as they were in level 1, which is 40. 40 plus 48 should be 88 total movement speed. But if you haven't noticed, pretty much all characters caps at 87, one less movement speed than it should. Why, you ask? Because Trove math. There are 2 classes that have a little bit more movement speed than the rest, which are the Neon Ninja and the Lunar Lancer. The Neon Ninja at level 30 with max movement speed on gear is 93, again it should be 94 but Trove math. And Lunar Lancer at level 30 is 103 movement speed, and once again it should be 104 but Trove. Now that you know the movement speed of all classes, let's talk about the buff that I mentioned before. Starting with the best one, and that is the allies, more specifically Raptor Berserker and Prefect Penguin. And why is that, and what do they do? Raptor Berserker and Prefect Penguin are pretty much identical, but they have different damage buff. Raptor Berserker is for physical and Prefect Penguin is for magic characters. But both allies have this text underneath, which pretty much says if any nearby enemy dies, it doesn't have to be you the one who killed it. You regenerate 50% of your maximum health and you get a movement speed buff, but it doesn't tell you how much it gives. But after some testing, both allies grants a total of plus 30 base movement speed, and it lasts for 6 seconds. So if you include that to the current maximum movement speed on classes, you will get 117 on most classes, which is close to max tier Knight subclass. Neon Ninja goes to 123 and Lunar Lancer goes to 133, which is incredible. Now for the second one that a lot of people use, and that is the Trailblazing emblem. The Trailblazing is an emblem that you can get on the store for 10,000 cubits, or 1,500 credits. And it says when you use a charge, aka a flask, you get a movement speed and a jump increase. It doesn't tell you how much in either stat. But once again, after some testing, the Trailblazing grants a total of plus 20 movement speed and 5 more jumps, and it lasts for 10 seconds. Once again, if you include that to a class, most classes will get to 107 movement speed. Neon Ninja is 113 and Lunar Lancer is 123, which all of them are still faster than Wings. And last but not least, it is not a common ability, but it's something to look forward towards. And that is Pyrodisc. And what is that and how you get it? Empowered gems. If you get an empowered gem, just look at the gem's name and the ability that you will get. And that is random which ability you get. One of those abilities is called Pyro Disc, which works similar to the allies I mentioned before. But this time is when you kill an enemy, you have a chance of activating Pyro Disc, which is shown as a red ring around your character. And that ring does damage and gives you movement speed and lasts for 10 seconds. It has an 8% chance of activating, it does a 2.5 times damage that it can crit, and it gives 30 more movement speed. And it has a roughly a 30-second cooldown. Once again, 30 plus movement speed translates to 117 on most classes, 123 on Neon Ninja, and 133 on Lunar Lancer. Those are the 3 most important buffs to increase your movement speed, and all those buffs can be stacked on one another, making your movement speed skyrocket like crazy. Since it's a plus 30 movement speed from ally, plus 20 from Trailblazing, and plus 30 from Pyro Disc, you have a total potential of plus 80 more movement speed. And if you have those buffs at the same time, which is pretty easy to pull off. And all those buffs stack make most characters run at 167 base movement speed, which is ridiculous. 173 on Neon Ninja and 183 on Lunar Lancer, which is around the same as 2 mount movement speed stacked. Now for the movement speed buff provided by the 2 classes, the Neon Ninja and the Vanguardian. Starting with the easier one, the Vanguardian. To put it simply, the Vanguardian has a buff on melee mode called Force Flash, which pretty much casts a built-in Pyro Disc, and since it does practically the same as Pyro Disc, this can be stacked on all the previous buff mentioned, making the Vanguardian have a plus 30 more movement speed, and this ability does damage and gives you damage reduction, and it lasts for 6 seconds, making it a total of 197 total movement speed on the Vanguardian, which is close to 2 wings movement speed stacked. And now for the complicated one, being the Neon Ninja's Shadow Flip. Since the Shadow Flip is a percentage based ability, you will get different results rather than just being a plus base movement speed like all the buffs I mentioned. The Neon Ninja's Flip grants a total of 50% more movement speed while in stealth mode. So depending on how much movement speed you have, activating the Shadow Flip, that's going to be increased by 50% once you activate Shadow Flip. Remember, the Shadow Flip lasts for 3 seconds. So if you want to know how much is your movement speed, just take your movement speed and multiply it by 1.5. So a max movement speed buff Neon Ninja is 173 base movement speed, and it gets increased by 50%. It will make the Neon Ninja move at a 259 potential max movement speed, which is ridiculous. And that is why the Neon Ninja is the fastest class in the game. But yeah, that is all. That's how you make the characters all classes go incredibly fast. Just keep stacking all the buffs at the same time and you will make any class run stupid fast. But before I go, I will give you some tips on how to maintain high movement speed. Number 1, always kill random mobs. Just killing random mobs will proc the ally and sometimes will proc Pyro Disc if you have it. Number 2, don't be afraid of using a flash for movement speed buff after you kill an enemy. It will save you a lot of time. And number 3, this is for Neon Ninja players. Always use Shadow Flip after the buffs are active. Since it is a percentage based ability, the more movement speed you have, the more benefit you will get with the Shadow Flip. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think on this video in the comments below. And also share this video, because I do feel that this video will help out a lot more people than you think. And no, I normally don't ask for shares or likes, but this video I feel is very, very important. But anyways, I'm rambling all too much. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think on this video. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Take care and keep on hunting. And remember, movement speed stacking is awesome. See ya.